Hey, good evening. It's Phil. We're gonna do a little lights test tonight because I found something out about my car because of this accident. Yeah, watch your light. Watch your lights. Watch. See the beam? Look at the beams. Watch. These beams were aimed at the ground. That's why I couldn't see. 20 years they've been aimed at the ground. I'm going to show you. I'm going to walk out here and point where the beams are aimed. Actually, you can see it. I think I can get a little closer without hitting it. I'm borrowing a local business's wall here. So you can see I got the left side, the road side is up, but not way up into the oncoming driver's face, but the right side is up. So I can get a good view of the right side of the road. And we're gonna do a little driving now. If you look at those bricks, my headlights were literally down. You can't see it at the bottom of the picture, I don't think, but the last two bricks at the bottom of the parking lot was where my lights was at. I'm gonna go point at this again, and you won't see my hand in the picture, I don't think. They were aimed at the bottom of the daggone road. They've been like that for 20 years. And my wife used to tell me, she used to say, Phil, there's something wrong with these headlights. And I said, I know, honey, there's a damn stupid ass, the way that the stupid ass lights are made. And it wasn't the way the stupid ass lights was made. It was me being too stupid to adjust the lights. And the way they tell us to adjust the lights is completely wrong. What you do is there's a nut on the back of the housing that you can get to if you got a. I use it's called a gear wrench. It's got a little pivot on it, but it's also got a ratcheting head on it, and they're the best wrenches, some of the best wrenches I've ever had. It was a set I bought, and I'd been seeing them forever in the store. They come in a little holder, a little plastic holder. And I said, you know what, screw it. I'm spending all kinds of money on other things. This looks like it might help me on my car. Let me buy a kit. I'm gonna buy this wrench kit, this gear wrench kit. And those gear wrenches have been some of the best wrenches I've ever used in my life. And what you don't use them for is you don't use them for really ultra tight bolts, but most of the bolts on a car are not like that. Most of the bolts on a car are like they're good for up to about 45, 50 foot-pound bolts. And they're pretty damn strong. If you get the gear wrench brand, they're pretty strong. But anyway, on the back of this housing, there's a 10mm bolt. It's 10mm. And you crank on that 10mm bolt, and it'll change where your headlights are at. You ain't got to use the damn adjustment they show you with a screwdriver is bullshit. The little 10mm bolt, if you get on that 10mm bolt and you jerk on that thing, man, and what you do is tighten. If you tighten, it brings the lights up. And I sat there and I cranked on that thing and I cranked on that thing and I cranked on it. I was like, this ain't changing nothing. And I just said, you know what, let me just hang with it. I'll just hang with it. It literally took, let's see, 1, 2, 3, I would say 30 cranks of tightening, and then the lights came up. And when the lights came up, this is what we got. And the reason part of the reason I'm bringing you with me is because, you know, we might see some deer here. We might see a fox. We might see, you know, you never know. I don't want to see, I don't mind to see a deer. I just don't want to see it right in front of me where I hit it. But these lights are better than they've ever been. Now, I'm gonna invest. Rock Auto is a great auto parts internet store. Rock Auto, they give you a range of cost and parts so that you can choose what fits your budget. I do recommend, if you're going to keep a car for a long time, that you get the OEM recommended parts. And I went online and I checked. Oh, there's a home. What the heck on it? Am I going to be able to? I think I'm driving away from it. Yeah, I'm driving away from it. I'm going to get you back to this house that has all kinds of Christmas stuff around it. I don't know if it'll be on right now, but we'll see. But anyway, so you can see how good these lights are now. These lights are fantastic. And I mean, I cannot be happier with this. Now, one thing I will tell you about these light lenses is what I used on my light lenses was I used turtle wax, regular car wax, and I used a buffing wheel. It's a little buffing wheel that screws to a drill, a battery-powered drill. And so it got spinning real fast. It's a little buffing wheel. And I use that buffing wheel with the turtle wax. And damn, look at all the lights at this little intersection. What is this? A White Oak Park. Okay. I didn't know that was there. Church. There you go. There it is. There you go. The manger scene. That's what I was going to put in front of my house. I was just going to put a little stable with a little straw and a manger with a light shining down in the manger, just to show you baby Jesus, you know. And wouldn't even put nothing in the manger, just leave it empty and let people think about it. But these lights are so much better. I mean, now that's not high beams right there, okay? That's regular beams. And I can't believe this. I can't believe how many years I went. And I could have just cranked them 10mm bolts up, and I could have had some damn lights in this car. And this is not bad. I mean, this is so much better than it was. It's hard to believe. I mean, and what I did, I cranked those things. I cranked them at least 30 times. You know, and you're only getting like about a fifth of a turn. So I guess what, 30 times 5? So it's 6 turns. So it was like 6 total turns. But wow, man, I'm so happy. I could not believe this, because I went into Walmart and I was looking at the lights, and it got this whole brand of, and they're all Chinese lights, but they're quality. They look like quality Chinese lights, and they're LED lights. And I thought, you know, I'm gonna have to get these LED lights, but I'm not gonna have to do anything now. Now this gives you a good look at how these lights are adjusted. You can see in the background, that's about a quarter mile away there, that I can see the reflection off of the signs. But you can see that this is not so high that it's up in the trees, which means that, and I haven't got one flash from an oncoming driver. Now these lights are not like the new lights that are in cars today, because I saw a Ford pickup truck, man, and it has some bright ass lights, and it's got the new, I think they're xenon LEDs or something like that, the new HID beams or whatever. And I mean, he was just sitting there idling and it was just his running lights, and they were just hard on the eyes. I just can't get over how great these high beams. It's not even high beams. Look at that. Look at that beam. I can see the road. I'm so happy. And I'm so unhappy that it took a car accident to do this. Oh man, what was I thinking? But I drove up to Charlestown and back last night, had a little fun on them. I didn't spend any of my money, which was a miracle. Got a free ice cream. But on the way back, I said, you know what? Screw this. I'm getting a little sick of this. I should try to adjust these headlights. And the adjusting, the way they tell you to adjust, it's wrong. It's completely wrong. They've got they show you this little slot, and they tell you to put a Phillips head screwdriver in there. And they tell you to split, no. Because I said, you know what, let me look at this adjuster on this headlight lens, because I got the two buckets in my garage. I said, I need to see, they're talking about a gear. I didn't see a gear in this thing. And I got looking at it, I said, this is a bolt. Oh, this can't be this easy. Please don't tell me it was this easy all these years and I didn't do it. Oh no. And I got looking for a wrench to fit it, and I said, you know, this has got to be an 8mm, because it looks tiny. It doesn't look like a 10mm when you look at it. And I got looking at it, I said, you know what? I bet it's a 10mm. And I got, of course, my gear wrench. I'm so terrible at putting my tools back where they're supposed to be at. Because I got, you know, I just recently went through and organized all my tools, because, you know, and I've been in a funk for a year and a half, you know, because it's been rough. I mean, it's just been one of these things where, you know, you lose your wife and you kind of get lost for a little while. And I got a little lost for a little while. I lost a lot of money, but you know, money can be replaced. And me and the good Lord had a good year and a half or so of money time, where he kept telling me, Phil, you gotta stop this. Phil, you gotta stop this. Phil, you gotta stop this. And I finally listened. And then I can think my wife on the other side said, Phil, you gotta go back to work or you're not gonna have any money. And I went back to work. But anyway, I can't believe this. I cannot believe how these lights are so much better. And this is the old lights, the old housings that I polished up. Now that left housing looks pretty good, but the right housing was unfortunately I got given these houses by a buddy of mine years ago, and I think they reacted to the plastic that they were stored in, because when I opened them up just recently, they were terrible. They were worse than the ones on this car. But the right side one was broken on the inside. There's a piece of plastic on the inside, and I was afraid it was going to leak. And the one thing about these lights is you can't touch them and you can't get water on them. They got to stay dry. And I was like, you know what? What's going to happen is I'm going to drive this thing through a rainstorm, and that light's going to short out. And God forbid it shorts out and pops a fuse, and I won't have no lights, you know. So I went ahead and I changed it out for the other one, and I polished it with my turtle wax. But here's the kicker. Now this is the weirdest thing of all. I have silicone spray. Now it's Walmart silicone spray in the King, but it is silicone spray, not WD-40, not any kind of lubricant, but silicone spray. And I I did my thing with the turtle wax and the buffet wheel. And then as a last, whoa, what the hell was that? Oh man, that must have been a deer. Oh man. That looked black. I don't know what the hell that was. That looked like a buzzard. But on the other side there, it looked like a deer. So I don't know if the deer was, the buzzard was eating the deer and got whacked. But man, that's high beams. But so anyway, I did the turtle wax thing, and man, I can't get over how good these are now. Oh my God, I'm so happy. I'm so happy, man. This is why I hit that. Well, not obviously. I need to stay in that right lane and go down to the intersection, make the right, and then go down, turn around at that one intersection. You just gotta be. If you have a feeling in your head, you're like going, you know what? The smarter thing would be not to challenge this intersection because it's gonna win. But so I'm gonna do that from now on at that intersection. I'm gonna just go down to the Wawa, make the right-hand turn, and come back to the light. Because it's just dangerous as a rattlesnake there. But anyway, I did my polishing thing with the turtle wax. I used the buffer wheel, and you really can't, if you have a soft buffer wheel, you really can't over buff those things because the buffer wheel gives up. You know, you don't press down with a buffer wheel. You just sort of let the buffer wheel dance across the surface. And what it does is it gets the wax into the buffer wheel and it polishes up pretty good. But then the last thing I do is I take some silicone spray and I spray it directly on the lens, and I just take my rack and I don't wipe it off. I smear it across the top of it, and man, it gets so clear that I'm really in shock at how good it looks. But unfortunately, when the silicone it does dry, and when it does dry, it kind of goes back to how bad it was. But it's not as bad as it was because the turtle wax buffed it. So, but that's a little trick. Turtle wax and then spray it over the top of it with the silicone spray. But wow, I just can't. I'm so happy about this because, well, first off, I'm happy that the good Lord is guiding me through this to fix this thing. Now that's high beams right there. I don't need high beams. Look, I don't need high beams. Look where that beam's at out there. Look at that. And you can see it's not ultra high. You saw on the wall that I didn't adjust it so it's blind to people. But, wow, man. I just can't get over this. This is cool as hell. Now, this is a little back road. This is 218 heading out towards Dahlgren. This is, I mean, I call this Rattlesnake Road, but I used to love driving on roads like this when I was a kid. Man, back in the day when I thought I was a Formula One driver, woo! I used to challenge these roads. Drive like a nut, drive like a teenage crazy person. And, but this is wonderful. These lights are wonderful, man, next to what they used to be. Oh my, I got lights. Thank you, Lord, I appreciate that. I mean, but actually this I could get greedy and bring this left one up a little bit, but I don't want to be blinding anybody. But these lights won't ever blind nobody because there's something about the wavelength of these lights. They're not bright anyway. You can look right into them and they're not bright. Now those HIDs, they hurt. I mean, I get them HIDs coming at me down the road, man. It's hard to see. Now that looks like that's almost a perfectly adjusted headlight on the left side, on the driver's side. Look how beautiful that is, man. That beam is like right on the money, man. But like I said, it took 30 jacks on that, 30 Titans on that bolt, on that 10mm bolt on that housing to get this up where it's at. So these lights have been in the damn, that light housing on the left-hand side is the one the car came with. I've never changed these. I never knew how easy it was to change them too, because I saw that on YouTube. You don't, I looked at the housings, I said, how in the heck do you change this? Because there's no way to get to these. And the guy on YouTube showed how to take the front, you take the whole front bumper valance off. And you want it, there's two guys that do it on YouTube. One guy shows you how to do it without taking the whole bumper off, and the other guy shows you how to do it with taking the bumper off. I actually recommend that you take the whole bumper off, because, well, for two reasons. One of the things about Honda is they use these funny, it's like a pin in a collar type fastener to hold the plastic pieces on the front of the car. And about half of them break when you pull them out. Now, the older they are, the more likely they are to break. So if they're pretty new, they probably won't break. And I kind of think that's another place where you could use silicone. And if you use silicone, now we got a car coming here. Or actually, it's a truck. Wow. There we go, 18-wheeler. My man is going to work on this country back road. But you can spray the silicone inside, take the pin out, and they're usually made so that the pin just pulls up a little bit and you can push it in, but I don't like doing that. I like taking the pin all the way out, putting the collar all the way in, pushing the collar all the way into its seats, and then pushing that pin in, because that way you're sure that the bottom of the collar is all the way in. And some of these collars, they just attach plastic to plastic, but then some of these collars attach plastic to plastic to a metal hole in the body. And when you push that pin in, it holds everything together. Now, I want to recommend to everybody on these Hondas that if you have these pins, is that you use the pins. Don't try a shortcut and use zip ties, because it's not as good at all, period. See, look at the high beams. There's a high beam. But, I mean, literally, I don't necessarily need the high beams. Right now, we're doing, this is a 45-mile-an-hour zone. I'm doing about 47 mile an hour. And I feel pretty safe with what I'm looking at here. I just couldn't believe this. You know what? We're going to turn around before this battery goes out. I'm going to, hopefully I can get to it. I don't know. Here's a church we can turn around in. Yeah. Get into here. Here's another thing. If you, oh shit, I can't turn around. Oh well, that's fine. They put a thing across the back, so you can't get in there. But I can back in. Back in into the driveway. I don't really blame them. I mean, you can't have anything these days. You got to protect everything, and that's sad, but that's just the way it is. So we're coming back here. So we're coming back the same road, but you can see. I mean, I can see. Look at this. I could not believe it. I mean, and like I said, I got jacking on that 10mm bolt, and it's tight. And I was tightening and tightening and tightening and tightening. It ain't making no change. God darn, I'll bet you there's strip, is what I said. And I got tightening and tightening and tightening and tightening. And about the 15th tightening, I started seeing it move. And I said, uh-oh. Uh-oh. And then every time I tightened it, it went up just a little bitty bit, and a little bitty bit, and a little bitty bit, and a little bitty bit. And next thing you know, it was up. I could definitely see on the wall of my garage, because what you want to do is be about 25 steps away from a wall where you can actually see where the beam's pointing, so you can actually aim it up where you want it. Now, I wouldn't, you know, I've seen things where they're like, well, you need to aim up so many millimeters. And this, I don't do that. I'm like, you know what? I got eyes. I can see where the damn beam's at. And I just bring the beam up where I want it to be. And normally, I would say at 25 feet, the headline beam should be I'm not 6 foot. I'm about 5'11", but let's just say on a 6 foot man, or if you're a tall woman, a 6 foot woman, that the beam should be at just above your knee, at 25 feet on a wall, just above your knee. It should be like touching just over the top of your knee. That's where the driver's side beam should be. Now the passenger side beam can be up. It can be up slightly because it shoots off the side of the road anyway. And what it does, what the nice thing about that is, if it's up a little bit, especially if you're going down a hill like this, like right here, if that beam is up a little bit, it shoots up into what you're driving into. See this here? So I'm going down a hill here. That beam is up a little bit. When I come around the corner here, it's going to shoot up the road. It's going to show me what's going on, like right here. Watch, see? And that's why it's nice to have that right beam up a little bit. And the thing is, if it's up a little bit, normally it doesn't shoot into other cars' windshields. But man, I'm so happy. I just can't tell you how heartbroken I am that I let this go for so many years. I thought it was just bad headlights. And I saw where the beams were at. I mean, I could see the beams, you know. I just thought, this is just a terrible design. It's a terrible design. And all it was they came like this from the factory, aimed right into the ground. And man, all those years we drove back from Charlestown, and my wife was right. My wife was right. She said, you know, Phil, something's wrong with these headlights. I said, I know, honey, I got to get some fog lights on the car. And what's the thing with this car was my wife and I, she intentionally invested in this car. She called this her retirement car. And she worked her butt off for 6 years to pay for this thing, and we pretty much put it away. We put it in the garage. And we only drove it, I only drove it enough to keep, I drove it about once a week. And you gotta, here's a clue about owning cars. Never, ever, ever buy a car and then let it sit. Don't do it. And it's very important in the age of ethanol is that you run a car enough about once a month to empty the gas tank and put new fuel in it. Because after about a month, what's going to happen to your ethanol gas is it's going to separate in your gas tank. And it's going to cause all kinds of problems. I mean, it turns into water. I believe it's water, alcohol, gasoline, and gunk. It'll turn into a glue. And it'll just, what it does is it coats the inside of your engine, and then it attracts dirt. And it just eats your engine to pieces. Ethanol is a crime against us. They shouldn't even sell ethanol. Ethanol is a complete snow job on the American people, and it is horrendous on gasoline engines, and they want it to be horrendous on gasoline engines. You know, I mean, it's all about the kickback. I mean, the corn producers. You know, people would say, "Well, it's supporting the farmers." No, it ain't. And the farmers are supposed to be supported by making food for people, not daggone corn whiskey that you stick into a gasoline tank. And anyway, but you got to crank that car up. Don't let that car sit. You know, if you have an extra car, drive that sucker about once a week. And when I say drive it, actually get it out. Get it warm, drive it down the street. If you got, make yourself a little circuit, make yourself a little route. And make that route about 3-4 miles long at the minimum. I'm talking about at the minimum. If you can, take the thing out on the interstate, get it up hot, run it about a half an hour, about once a month at the minimum, preferably every 2 weeks. But you want to get that gasoline out of that engine, I mean out of that tank, and get it swapped over. You want to burn about a tank of gas out of it a month. You don't want that gasoline sitting in your tank. So that's what we did. We drove the car just enough so that it would stay healthy all those years. And unfortunately, about 10 years after my wife bought it, she had a stroke one morning. She had to retire. And we just spent 10 years fighting that. And then COVID came along, and 2 shots from Pfizer pretty much just took her away from me. But she wasn't healthy at that time, but she had some fight left in her with the two COVID shots. Just took all the fight away from her. There was no coming back from that. The 2 COVID shots pretty much created a cascade of events that, man, it just went so fast, it was heartbreaking. Anyway, back to the lights. But these lights are so much better now, and I'm gonna do a video. There's that, whatever that is. That looks like a buzzard, like a buzzard was eating on that deer and he got caught out. That's another thing that pisses me off too about people. Some people can be so damn hateful. They see something in the road and they speed up at it. You know, I'm like, God darn it, cut the little sucker a break. You know, I mean, I'm not gonna drive off the road for a squirrel, but I will hit my brakes, hit my horn, try everything I can not to hit the little sucker. And they normally get out the road. Now, I will say one thing, the stupidest thing on the highway that runs on the highway is a possum. Them little son of a bitches, when they decide to go across the road, they're going across the road come hell or high water. They don't even look. It sounds stupid, you know, it's an animal, they'll watch it and look. I'm telling you, I've seen foxes, I've seen groundhogs, I've seen deer, I've seen squirrel, and I've seen them all look as I drove up, and then they went the other way. They went off the side of the road. They didn't come into the road. So don't tell me they don't look. But yeah, I'm so jacked about this. I'm so happy about this. I know this is going to split into like 2 or 3 sections. And I mean, however long this battery lasts, I tried to find my other battery before we came out here, but I couldn't find it. But this is just a little headlight test. I got up at 2 in the morning because that seems to be the time I get up anymore. But that's when I go to bed about 9. So I get about 5 hours of really deep sleep. I mean, super deep sleep. But it looks like I'm doing 100 miles an hour. I'm actually doing 45 miles an hour. I'm doing the speed limit. But it looks like I'm flying. But I just can't get over it how much better. And you're going to look at this and go, my headlights look like that all the time, Phil. It's like, yeah. I know. But it was just a matter of jacking these up. I had to jack them up. And like I said, it took 30 cranks of tightening. And I mean, so, and look, we got it. Now, we come out here, and the damn, the moon has come out. A full moon has come out.